people will happily pay. And then, and then you have the, the prove it to me types that kind of call in for readings and want to know how much you can tell them about themselves. They'll try to be like super elusive to see if you can guess something about them. And then when they come across someone authentic, they'll sit there and say, yeah, you're right, or how'd you know that? It just kind of becomes this Miss Cleo tarot card session. And it shocks me that people actually pay money for this. You get excited, oh, he knew I liked ice cream. And they always tell you something that's very general. So it could be true for half the population, but people eat it up. So you have to recognize, like the caller in this that posed the question, I think you have to recognize that if the people you're trying to save, so to speak, or help, if they're really looking for change, or if they're truly looking for help, because sometimes a lot of people, they aren't. you know it's just something, it's just a hobby. They can prove that they know more than the next person, and it feels good. And like I said, you don't have to have any credentials or proof of anything, so you can lie about your experiences, and you can tell someone, oh, I woke up this morning, I meditated for 3 hours, and I saw this light come through the window, and my crown chakra started vibrating, and da da da. You can lie about this kind of stuff because there's no one to check your story out. And so, like you said, a lot of people embellish what's really going on with them. Another point that I want to bring out is that he was saying that you have to stand on the convictions of what you're learning. And this is a very, very important step, when we talk about being conscious. And to tell you the truth, this is probably the hardest step, being able to stand on the convictions of what you're learning. That's the hardest step in your transformation. And I think it's one that a lot of people try to skip, or they either never make it to this point, because this is not a feel-good point. It doesn't feel good. And this is living your life based on what you've learned, and not changing that for anyone. And like you've heard Chief say, family is usually the ones who kind of get us to cower or revert back to our old selves. And I've thought about this so much. Why is it that the people closest to us are the ones that hinder us the most? And we allow them to do things to us because, we're tied to them by blood. And I used to think, would I be friends with these people, or would these people be in my circle if we weren't related? And the answer is no. Like, I don't have anything in common with these people. And then so I started to think, why are they here? And why am I tied to them? Why do I have to be related to these people? And you know what it is? It's like, these are the people that are here to help us fulfill our purpose. They're the ones that either give us support, or they provide the friction that we need to be who we're supposed to be. They help us fulfill that purpose. I recently had a situation with someone who always takes me there. And what I mean is, this person, actually, what it is I've made it comfortable for them to always kind of lay their crap on me. And then, of course, they go home and they feel lighter and they feel better because they've gotten it all off their chest. While, meanwhile, I'm at home or wherever I am, and I'm left with whatever they just unloaded. And, it's a family member. Now, after this happened, I had to kind of examine something about my life. And I was like, why does this keep happening? And it's basically what she says all the time about lessons. It's like when you ignore the lesson, it keeps coming back louder and louder and closer to you. So before it may have been a friend that was trying to tell you, or a stranger, now it's a relative. So those closest to us have the loudest voices. And I don't mean in terms of volume, but those are the people that we listen to, consciously and subconsciously, especially as kids or as children. Adults can really screw kids up this way, because they're listening, even when you don't think they are. But until we get, that courage of Shango to stand up, stand on those convictions of what we're learning, true transformation can't happen. And it's not just with family. The same can go for, changing our diet, or, deciding to be an entrepreneur and never have to work for anyone again. Whatever it is, you come to this point where you're going to either be about what you're learning about and take it, take all the pain or uncomfortable stuff that comes along with it and grow, or you can just stay where you are. And, like I said, just know that your life lessons are going to keep coming at you louder and louder. Chief said on one show that you may be, Queen Ma'at, Iyanifa, Oshun, or whatever to strangers, but what does your grandmother call you? What does your father call you? And that's when you know you're standing on the convictions of what you're learning. When everyone knows you as Kim, she doesn't eat that, so don't even bring it to you. When everyone around you can respect that, now they know you're serious. This is not just a feel good kind of thing. And like I said, that's the stage of transformation that a lot of us try to avoid, because it's not all nice and fluffy. It's not comfortable. It's not pretty. It's just not fun. So that's something that we all kind of either skip over or try our best to avoid. And that's when we run into teachers. We start to find these teachers that are just nice and don't tell us the things that we want to hear. Or when we run into Chief and then don't call back anymore because now your feelings are hurt, But the thing about it is you still heard what he said, so it's still kind of gnawing at you a little bit. So I wanted to show you how all this is tied to alchemy. And there was another thing that he said in the clip where he says that internal changes, these internal changes kind of go along with what you're learning. And it rearranges your reality. And so this point kind of brings me back to what I was saying about people who say they're having these incredible experiences. And like I said, they're lying when you don't see any changes in their character or their reality. Because when you're actually doing these things, physical and psychological changes happen when you're really putting in that work, as conscious folks say. But things really do start to happen, and you really will notice changes. And so, like I said, this kind of brings me to the alchemy webinar that's coming up. When you start tapping into nature and really working with these forces, your real world changes. It's not some invisible, obscure thing that goes on, And I'll give you one freebie. One of the processes that we talk about is calcination, and it's one of the phases of transformational alchemy. And so calcination involves heating your sample in an open flame until it's reduced to ashes. Now, what does that mean psychologically? So it's like when the ego it's when your ego and your attachments to certain things have been completely destroyed. It's when you humble yourself. The things you've experienced in your life have brought you to a place of, deeper understanding. And you can kind of just detach from certain things. They don't bother you as much as they did before. And physically, this can be equated to burning off a few pounds, burning some calories, shedding excess weight, or something that was harmful to you, something that's poisonous to you. Fire brings purification. So through the ritual of some of these alchemical processes, you can actually create real change in your life. And again, it's connecting the internal with the external, or the invisible with the visible. So we can use the tools in nature to communicate with those forces that we can't see, to transmute the things that we need in our lives to change. So, I keep saying the reasons for these webinars is to give you a deeper understanding of what you're doing when you're performing rituals or when you're saying these aduras. And luckily, those of you listening have somehow come into contact with a teacher who's empowering you so that you can do those things. He's not, keeping the secrets to himself so you can keep coming back, or, to pump his ego up just to say, I have so many students, or, or whatever. It's so that you can be empowered, so that you can change your own life. So again, this next webinar on alchemy is going to be on November 11th, and this is going to tie in the information we've learned in the other two webinars on oils and herbs. So you're learning to, again, manipulate and transform these tools outside of yourself to mirror the change that you want to occur in your life. Okay, and one of the things I'm going to cover in the webinar is showing you how you can create your own elixirs to help usher you into those alchemical stages. So when you're going through these processes and you're ingesting these elixirs, you'll start to notice the actual physical changes in your life, So we're going to learn that process in the webinar. Some of the other things we're going to cover are, transmutation. What is transmutation? How is it that some people can transform, or use certain objects, transform objects for whatever it is that they need? Where does this knowledge come from? What are the physical steps to do it? And, these are just a few of the things that I'll be going over. We'll definitely get much deeper into it. But again, this was a 3-part series. The herbs and the oils was a build up to this one. Now, so now that you have a basic understanding of those two things, now we can kind of start to really put this stuff into action. So I hope you've enjoyed this segment of ANU Asafo. Make sure you get registered. Don't forget to go back and listen to the entire show if you missed it or missed the beginning. And that was, again, a clip from a Foundational Friday show called Zombies, Debates, and Transformation. Okay, so you can check our YouTube channel, Enlightenment and Transformation TV, to check those out. Okay, again, to RSVP for the webinar, you can go to seduluhouse.com/events. Again, make sure you click subscribe on the YouTube channel, because all of our shows are now going to start broadcasting from YouTube only. Okay, except for Chief Speaks on Sunday. Okay, so thank you for tuning in to ANU Asafo this strong, and until next time, I'm Kim, your host, and thank you for tuning in. Peace.